The deep space patrol ship's silent wind moved through the darkness between stars. Commander Vex sat in his command chair, watching the endless black void through the main screen. His crew had been on patrol for 3 weeks now, checking the border. Regions where Caltharian space met the unknown territories. "Commander," called out Science Officer Nim from her station. Her voice carried a note of excitement that made Vex turn his head. "I'm picking up something strange on long-range sensors." Vex stood up and walked over to Nim's console. The blue-skinned Caltharian female pointed at her display screen. "There's a ship out there, sir. It's not moving, just drifting." "Show me," Vex ordered. The main screen changed to show a grainy image of something floating in space. Even from this distance, Vex could see that the ship looked different from anything he had ever seen before. It was long and angular, with sharp edges that seemed to cut through space itself. "How far away is it?" Vex asked. "About 2 million kilometers." "Sir," Nim replied, "but Commander, there's something else. The ship's design doesn't match anything in our database. It's not Caltharian, not Zenthari, not even one of those old Makari vessels." Navigator Wren looked up from his station. "Sir, that area of space isn't claimed by any known race. According to our maps, it's empty space." Vex felt his stomach tighten. In all his years of service, he had never encountered a ship from an unknown species. The galaxy was well mapped, and all the major races knew each other. Finding something completely new was almost impossible. "Take us closer," he ordered, "but keep our distance. I want a full scan of that vessel." The silent wind changed course and began moving toward the mystery ship. As they got closer, more details became clear on the screen. The ship was massive, easily twice the size of their patrol vessel. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, and covered with what looked like scars and dents. "Commander," called communications. "Officer Dahl, I'm not picking up any signals from the ship. No distress calls, no identification beacon, nothing. Life signs?" Vex asked. Nim studied her readings carefully. "That's the strange part, sir. The ship appears to be powered down, but I'm detecting some kind of energy signature deep inside. It's very faint, almost like the ship is sleeping rather than dead." Vex stared at the image on the screen. The ship looked dangerous even while sitting still. Its design seemed focused on one thing: destruction. Unlike Caltharian ships, which were smooth and curved for efficiency, this vessel was all sharp angles and thick armor plating. "Sir," Nim said, her voice now worried, "I'm getting some very unusual readings from the ship's construction materials. The hull appears to be made from alloys I've never seen before. They're incredibly dense, much heavier than anything we use in our shipbuilding. Could it be some kind of new Zenthari design?" Vex asked. "No, sir," Nim shook her head. "The technology appears primitive in some ways, but incredibly robust. It's like someone took basic engineering principles and pushed them to their absolute limits." Security Chief Tor stepped forward from his position near the back of the bridge. The large, muscular Caltharian had been quiet during the approach, but now his warrior instincts were clearly activated. "Commander," Tor said in his deep voice, "I don't like this. That ship was built for war. Look at those weapon ports along the hull. I count at least 40 different gun positions, and that's just what we can see from this angle." Vex nodded. He had noticed the same thing. Most ships in the galaxy carried some weapons for protection, but this vessel looked like it had been designed by someone who expected to fight constantly. "Range?" he asked. 500,000 kilometers in closing, Wren reported. "That's close enough," Vex decided. "I'll stop. Nim, I want the most detailed scan you can manage. I want to know everything about that ship." The silent wind came to a halt, and Nim began working at her console. The ship's sensors focused on the mysterious vessel, probing it with every type of scan available. "Commander," Nim said after several minutes, "this is incredible. The ship appears to have multiple redundant systems for everything: power, life support, navigation, weapons. It's like they built it expecting parts to be destroyed in battle. "What about the crew?" Vex asked. "That's where it gets really strange." "Sir, the ship is designed for beings that are much larger than us. Based on the corridor dimensions and what appear to be living quarters, I estimate the crew members are at least 2 meters tall, possibly more." Tor crossed his arms. "Big and aggressive, wonderful." Nim continued her report. "The atmosphere inside. The ship has a much higher oxygen content than what any known species breathes. The gravitational generators are set to nearly twice Caltharian standard. Sir, whatever species built this ship, they're physically much more powerful than us." Vex felt a chill run down his spine. The galaxy had known peace for centuries because all the major races were roughly equal in terms of physical and technological capabilities. The idea of encountering a species that was significantly more powerful was terrifying. "Any idea where they came from?" he asked. "The ship's trajectory suggests it came from the Outer Rim territories," Ren reported. "But beyond that, I can't tell. There are no star charts in that region of space." "Sir," Dahl interrupted, "I'm trying to hack into their communication systems, but their encryption is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's not that it's advanced, it's just completely different from how we approach data security." Vex studied the image of the ship on the main screen. Every detail suggested a species that thought about war and survival in ways that were alien to the peaceful galactic community. "Commander," Nim said quietly, "there's something else. The ship's power. Signature suggests it's not actually damaged or abandoned. It appears to be in some kind of standby mode, like it's waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" Vex asked. "I don't know, sir. But I get the feeling that this ship could come online very quickly if it needed to." Vex made a decision that would change everything. Despite every regulation about first contact protocols, despite the obvious dangers, his curiosity was stronger than his caution. "Tor," he said, turning to his security chief, "prepare a boarding party. We're going aboard that ship." "Sir," Tor protested, "that goes against every first contact protocol we have." "I know," Vex replied. "But look at that ship, Tor. It's a piece of technology unlike anything in the galaxy. If there's even a chance we can learn something about whoever built it, we have to take it." Nim looked worried. "Commander, what if the crew is still alive? What if we're walking into a trap?" Vex stared at the mysterious vessel on the screen. "Then we'll deal with that when it happens. But right now, we have a chance to make the greatest discovery in galactic history. We're not going to pass that up." The bridge fell silent as everyone contemplated what they were about to do. None of them realized that their decision to board the unknown ship would soon reveal a truth about the galaxy that would terrify every living being in known space. Security Chief Tor checked his equipment one final time before stepping into the airlock. Behind him, 4 other members of the boarding party made their own preparations. Dr. Kale, the ship's xenobiologist, carried her scanning devices. Engineer Beck had his tools ready for analyzing unknown technology. Marines Dex and Ray carried standard energy weapons, though Tor wondered if their weapons would even work against the strange materials they had detected on the alien ship. "Remember," Tor said to his team, "we don't know what we're walking into. Stay together, watch each other's backs, and if anything seems dangerous, we retreat immediately." The airlock sealed behind them as their small transport ship attached to the alien vessel's hull. Beck worked on cutting through the outer door, his plasma torch creating bright sparks in the darkness. "Hull is incredibly thick," Beck muttered as he worked. "This metal is denser than anything I've ever seen. It's like they built this ship to survive a war." After 20 minutes of cutting, they finally broke through. The alien airlock was much larger than theirs, designed for beings significantly taller than Caltharians. Emergency lighting flickered on as they entered, casting red shadows on the walls. Atmosphere is breathable, Dr. Kale reported, checking her instruments. High oxygen content, just like our scans indicated. Temperature is warm, about 5 degrees above what we prefer. Tor opened the inner airlock door and stepped into the ship proper. What he saw made him stop in shock. The corridor stretched out before them, wide enough for 3 Caltharians to walk side by side, but clearly designed for much larger beings. The walls were not the smooth, curved surfaces common on Caltharian ships. Instead, they were flat and angular, covered with thick metal plating. "Look at this," Beck said, running his hand along the wall. "These aren't decorative panels. This is armor plating on the inside of the ship. Who puts armor on the interior corridors?" Dr. Kale was examining something else. "These markings on the walls," she said, pointing to symbols scratched into the chi. "Metal. They appear to be some kind of writing system, but also something else. See these deeper marks? They look like claw marks, but too regular to be accidental." "Maybe they mark territory," Deck suggested. "Some species use scent or visual markers to claim space." As they moved deeper into the ship, more disturbing details became apparent. Every few meters there were sealed compartments built into the phyla walls. Beck managed to open one and found it packed with weapons. Not energy weapons like the Caltharians used, but solid projectile weapons made of the same dense metal as the ship's hull. "These things are heavy," Ray said, trying to lift one of the weapons. "I can barely hold it with both hands." "Whatever. Species built these. They're much stronger than us." Tor examined the weapon more closely. It was designed with brutal efficiency, built to cause maximum damage with every shot. The ammunition they found was equally disturbing, metal projectiles, designed to penetrate armor and cause massive internal damage. "Commander," Tor spoke into his communicator, "we're finding evidence that this species is extremely militaristic. Every design choice on this ship seems focused on combat." They continued exploring, moving through corridors that all looked the same, wide, armored, and functional. There were no decorations, no art, no signs of culture beyond warfare. The ship felt cold and utilitarian, like a machine built for killing. Dr. Kale stopped at what appeared to be a living quarters section. "The doors here are different," she observed. "Smaller, but with very heavy locks." These rooms weren't just private spaces, they were fortified positions. Beck managed to override the lock on one of the rooms. Inside, they found a space that was surprisingly small considering the size of the beings who lived there. A narrow sleeping platform, a small storage area, and nothing else. "This is barely larger than a storage closet," Dr. Kale said. "But look at the construction. The walls are extra thick. The door is reinforced. It's like they expected their own ship to be a battlefield." Ray found something that made everyone uncomfortable. "Look at this," he said, pointing to scratches on the walls inside the room. "These marks are everywhere. Deep gouges in the metal. Like someone was counting something. Counting days?" Deck suggested. "Or kills," Tor said grimly. They explored more rooms and found them all the same, small, fortified spaces with evidence of long-term occupation. Some rooms had more scratches than others, and Dr. Kale began taking samples from various surfaces. "I'm finding biological traces," she reported. "Hair samples, skin cells, other organic material. These beings shed regularly, like they have very active metabolisms. What else can you tell about them?" Tor asked. Dr. Kale studied her readings. "Based on the genetic material, they're carbon-based like us, but their cellular structure is much more robust. Their muscles would be significantly denser than ours, their bones much stronger. They would need more food, more oxygen, more of everything." Beck had been examining the ship's systems and found something equally disturbing. "Their technology is strange," he reported. "It's not advanced like ours, but it's incredibly reliable. Everything has backup systems, and the backup systems have backup systems. It's like they never expect anything to work properly the first time. They moved into what appeared to be a common area. Here, they found tables and chairs sized for the giant beings, but also something else, training equipment. Heavy weights, combat practice dummies, and obstacle courses built into the ship's design. They train constantly, Tor observed. Even while traveling through space, they maintain their fighting skills. Dr. Kale found food preparation areas that revealed more about the alien species. "Look at these," she said, showing them preserved food containers. "The nutritional content is incredible. High protein, high energy. These beings eat like predators, or like warriors who expect to fight constantly." Tor added. In one section of the ship, they found something that made everyone stop and stare. It was a room filled with what could only be described as trophies. Pieces of equipment from other ships, weapons from different species, and items that appeared to be personal belongings taken from defeated enemies. "This is a trophy room," Ray said quietly. "They keep reminders of their victories." Beck examined some of the items more closely. "I recognize some of this equipment. This piece is in Thari design, this one looks Mokari. But some of these items are from species I don't recognize at all. How many different races have they fought?" Dr. Kale wondered aloud. Tor was studying a collection of what appeared to be military insignia from various species. "More than we know exist," he said grimly. "Look at these symbols. Some of them are completely unknown to our databases." As they continued their exploration, the picture became clearer and more frightening. This ship belonged to a species that lived for war, that had turned conflict into an art form. Every aspect of their design, from their living spaces to their equipment, spoke of beings who expected violence and were prepared for it at all times. The boarding party had entered expecting to find an abandoned ship or perhaps a new trading partner. Instead, they had discovered evidence of the galaxy's most dangerous predator, a species that had apparently been hunting other races for an unknown length of time. None of them realized that their exploration was being watched, or that every step they took was providing valuable intelligence to beings who were very much alive and very much aware of their presence. Engineer Beck finally found what he was looking for, the ship's main computer core. The room was massive, filled with strange technology that hummed quietly in the dim light. Unlike Caltharian computers that used crystal-based processors, this system appeared to use dense metal components arranged in complex patterns. "This is fascinating," Beck muttered as he connected his portable interface to the alien system. "Their computer architecture is completely different from ours, but somehow I'm getting basic access." Dr. Kale and the others gathered around as Beck worked. "Can you access their records?" Tor asked. "I'm trying," Beck replied, his fingers dancing over his portable keypad. "Their security systems are active but not trying to stop me. It's like they want their information to be found." After several minutes of work, Beck managed to bring up what appeared to be the ship's main database. Symbols and text scrolled across his screen in a language none of them could read, but Beck's translation software began working on the patterns. "Got something," Beck announced. "This appears to be the ship's identification records. The vessel is called, let me see, Fury of Tura. And the species calls itself humanity, or humans." "Humans," Dr. Kale repeated the word. "I've never heard of them before," Beck continued accessing files. "According to this, the ship is part of something called the Human Colonial Fleet. Wait, there's more data coming through. This is incredible. They have detailed records of their entire history." Images began appearing on Beck's screen. Pictures of a blue and green planet covered with vast oceans and continents. Cities that stretched for miles, filled with countless humans. But what shocked the boarding party most were the images of human wars. "Look at this," Beck said, pointing to a series of images showing massive battles. "These aren't conflicts between different species. These are humans fighting other humans. The images showed destruction on a scale that made the Caltharians feel sick. Entire cities reduced to rubble, weapons that could destroy whole armies, and evidence of wars that had lasted for years or even decades. They fought each other, Doctor. Kale said in disbelief. For how long? Beck searched through more records. According to this historical database, humans have been fighting constant wars for their entire recorded history. Thousands of years of non-stop conflict. Tor studied the images of human warfare. No wonder their ship is built like a fortress. They learned to fight by fighting themselves. Beck found more disturbing information as he dug deeper into the database. It gets worse, he said. According to these records, humans didn't just fight wars. They used them to make themselves stronger. They developed new weapons, new tactics, new ways of thinking about conflict. The database contained detailed information about human evolution and development. Unlike other species in the galaxy, humans had evolved on a planet that was actively trying to kill them. Extreme weather, dangerous animals, natural disasters, and limited resources had forced them to become incredibly adaptable and aggressive. Look at this biological data, Dr. Kale said, reading over Beck's shoulder. Human muscle density is 3 times higher than ours. Their bone structure can withstand impacts that would shatter a Caltharian skeleton. Their nervous system reacts faster, their healing rate is accelerated, and their pain tolerance is off the charts. Beck accessed more files. They call their home planet Earth, and according to this, it's a death world. The gravity is twice what we're used to. The atmosphere has dangerous storm systems, and the planet is filled with predators that could kill most galactic species easily. A death world, Tor repeated. They evolved on a death world and learned to love fighting. This keeps getting worse. The database revealed more terrifying information about human psychology. Unlike the peaceful species of the galaxy, humans had developed what they called a warrior culture. They celebrated conflict, honored their fighters, and constantly prepared for the next battle. Beck found records of human military organizations. They have something called armies and navies, groups of millions of humans whose only job is fighting wars. And look at this. They have schools where they teach children how to fight. They train their young for war? Dr. Kale asked in horror. Not just train them, Beck replied, reading more data. They consider it necessary for survival. According to this, humans believe that if you're not strong enough to fight, you don't deserve to live. The boarding party discovered that human technology was designed around one central concept, making war more efficient. Their weapons were built to kill quickly and in large numbers. Their vehicles were designed to carry those weapons into battle. Even their civilian technology had military applications. Beck accessed what appeared to be technical manuals. Look at this, he said. They have weapons that can destroy entire planets. Not just the surface, the whole planet. They call them planet crackers. That's impossible, Tor protested. No species would build weapons that powerful. Humans did, Beck replied grimly. And according to this, they've used them multiple times. Dr. Kale found medical records that revealed even more disturbing truths about humanity. Their physiology is designed for extended combat, she reported. They can fight for days without rest, survive injuries that would kill us instantly, and their bodies actually get stronger when subjected to stress. Beck discovered human psychological profiles. This explains their behavior, he said. Humans don't just tolerate violence, they require it. Their society uses conflict to determine leadership, solve problems, and advance their civilization. The database contained records of human expansion beyond their home world. Unlike other species that explored space for knowledge or resources, humans expanded to find new places to fight and new enemies to defeat. According to this, Beck said, humans have been in space for over 200 years. They've established colonies on dozens of worlds, built massive fleets of warships, and been preparing for something they call the Great Campaign. What's the Great Campaign? Tor asked. Beck searched through more files. It appears to be their plan for conquering the known galaxy. And look at this. They've been studying us. All of us. Every major species in galactic space. The boarding party stared in shock as Beck displayed files containing detailed information about Caltharian military capabilities, Xanthari technology, Mokari social structures, and dozens of other species they had never heard humans mention before. They know everything about us, Dr. Kale whispered. Our strengths, our weaknesses, our military capabilities. Beck found tactical assessments that made their blood run cold. According to these files, humans rate the entire galactic community as minimal threat. They consider our combined military forces to be equivalent to what they call a training exercise. Tor realized the horrible truth. We're not discovering them, he said quietly. They've already discovered us. This whole time, while we thought we were the dominant species in the galaxy, they've been watching us, learning about us, preparing to defeat us. The database contained one final piece of information that terrified the boarding party more than anything else they had found. According to the records, the Fury of Terra was not an exploration ship or even a military vessel. It was classified as a scout ship, one of hundreds sent out to gather intelligence before the main human fleet arrived. The galaxy's worst nightmare was not just real, it was already here. Beck's hands trembled as he accessed deeper levels of the human database. What he found next made the boarding party realize their situation was far worse than they had imagined. Hidden within the ship's memory banks were detailed mission logs that revealed the true purpose of the Fury of Terra. This isn't an exploration vessel, Beck said, his voice barely above a whisper. Look at these mission parameters. This ship has been conducting surveillance operations throughout galactic space for the past 18 months. Tor leaned closer to the screen. Surveillance of what? Of us, Beck replied. All of us. Every major species, every important world, every military installation in known space. The mission logs contained routes and destinations that shocked the boarding party. The human ship had visited the Caltharian homeworld 3 times, always staying hidden in the outer system where their sensors couldn't detect it. It had observed Xanthari military exercises, recorded Mokari diplomatic meetings, and even infiltrated the heavily defended core worlds of the Galactic Council. Dr. Kale studied the surveillance reports. They've been watching our behavior patterns, she said. Look at these psychological profiles. They know how we think, how we react to threats, how we make decisions under pressure. Beck found tactical assessments that made their blood run cold. The humans had analyzed every major military installation in galactic space, cataloging weapons capabilities, defensive systems, and strategic weaknesses. They had identified which species would fight, which would surrender, and which could be turned against their allies. This is a complete intelligence package, Tor realized. They're not just studying us for curiosity, they're preparing for invasion. The database revealed detailed battle plans for conquering major galactic civilizations. The humans had developed strategies for fighting multiple species simultaneously, taking advantage of political tensions and historical conflicts between different races. Beck accessed a file labeled Operation Galactic Dawn and found humanity's complete plan for conquering known space. They're going to turn us against each other first, he said, reading the strategy documents. Look at this. They plan to trigger wars between the Xanthri and Mokari by making it look like border attacks. Divide and conquer, Dr. Kale said grimly. An ancient human strategy, according to their historical records. The boarding party discovered that the humans had been testing more than just military capabilities. They had also been studying galactic psychology, social structures, and cultural weaknesses. The database contained profiles of key political leaders, including detailed plans for eliminating or controlling them. Tor found something that made him feel sick. They have assassination plans, he said. Complete profiles of every major galactic leader, including security details, daily routines, and psychological weaknesses. Beck discovered that the humans had been conducting what they called stress tests on various species. They had secretly caused minor conflicts, natural disasters, and economic problems to see how different civilizations would respond to pressure. "Remember the Xanthari trade dispute last year?" Beck asked. "The one that almost led to war with the Mokari?" According to this, the humans caused it. They manipulated trade data to make it look like the Xanthari were cheating. Dr. Kale found medical data that terrified her. They've been collecting biological samples from every species they've encountered. Not just genetic material. They have detailed studies of our immune systems, our metabolisms, our neurological structures. Why would they need that information? Tor asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. "Biological weapons, Dr. Kale replied. "They're developing diseases that target specific species. Look at this research. They could create plagues that would kill Caltharians, but leave humans completely unaffected." The database revealed that the human surveillance mission had been far more extensive than anyone had imagined. Navigator Wren's worst fears were confirmed when Beck accessed the ship's travel logs. "This ship has been everywhere," Beck said in amazement. "The Caltharian core worlds, the Xanthari military academies, the Mokari diplomatic centers, even the restricted zones. Around the Galactic Council chambers." "How is that possible?" Tor demanded. "Our sensors should have detected them." Beck found the answer in the ship's technical specifications. "Their stealth technology is incredible," he said. "It's not advanced, it's just completely different from anything we've ever seen. They don't try to hide their energy signatures. Instead, they make their ship look like space debris or natural phenomena." Dr. Kale discovered psychological warfare plans that showed the humans understood galactic society better than most galactic citizens did. "They know exactly which species are natural allies and which have historical grudges," she said. "They plan to exploit every political tension, every cultural difference, every economic rivalry." The humans had developed contingency plans for dozens of different scenarios. If one species proved too difficult to defeat directly, they would be isolated and left for last. If another species showed signs of forming effective alliances, the humans would work to break those partnerships before they could become strong. Beck found something that made the entire boarding party fall silent. "They have detailed battle plans for fighting the entire galactic fleet simultaneously," he said. "And according to their analysis, they expect to win within 6 months. 6 months? Tor asked in disbelief. "Against the combined forces of every major galactic civilization? Look at their force estimates," Beck replied. "The humans have over 10,000 warships, each one more powerful than our most advanced vessels. They have armies numbering in the billions, all trained since childhood for galactic warfare." Dr. Kale found the humans' assessment of galactic military capabilities. "According to this, we've been living in an illusion of security," she said. "Our weapons are primitive compared to theirs. Our military training is inadequate. Our strategic thinking is centuries behind their current doctrine." The database contained detailed analyses of every major galactic battle in the past 100 years. The humans had studied these conflicts and identified weaknesses in galactic military thinking that could be exploited. "They consider us to be peaceful farmers playing at being warriors," Beck read from one assessment. According to this, the average human soldier is worth 50 galactic marines in combat. Tor found strategic assessments that showed the humans had been preparing for galactic conquest for generations. "This isn't a recent decision," he realized. "They've been planning this since they first learned about the existence of other species." The boarding party discovered that the Fury of Terra was just one of hundreds of scout ships gathering intelligence throughout known space. Each ship was mapping different regions, studying different species, and preparing detailed reports for the main human fleet. Beck accessed communication logs that revealed the scope of human preparations. "They're coordinating with dozens of other scout ships," he said. "The intelligence gathering operation covers the entire galaxy." Dr. Kale found the timeline for human invasion plans. "According to this, the main fleet will arrive within 2 years, she said. "And when they do, they'll have complete information about every world, every species, and every defensive position in galactic space." The horrible truth was now clear to the boarding party. The galaxy was not facing a simple military invasion. The humans had been planning and preparing for total galactic domination, and they had spent years ensuring that their victory would be swift and complete. The peaceful galactic community had been living under the observation of apex predators who saw them not as potential allies or trading partners, but as prey to be hunted and territory to be conquered. The boarding party was so focused on the horrifying data they had discovered that they almost missed the subtle change in the ship's atmosphere. Dr. Kale noticed it first, a slight shift in the air circulation system, a barely audible hum that hadn't been there before. "Something's changed," she whispered to the others. "The ship's life support systems are activating." Beck looked up from the computer terminal, his face pale. "That's impossible. The ship was in standby mode. There's no reason for it to." His words were cut off by a low, rhythmic sound echoing through the corridors. It took the Caltharians a moment to realize what they were hearing: footsteps. Heavy, measured footsteps coming from deeper within the ship. Tor immediately drew his weapon and motioned for the others to get behind him. "We need to leave, now." But as they turned toward the exit, they heard more footsteps coming from that direction as well. The boarding party was trapped between unknown forces approaching from both ends of the corridor. "How many?" Tor asked quietly. Dr. Kale checked her life sign detector, but the readings made no sense. "I'm detecting multiple beings, but they weren't there before. It's like they just materialized out of nothing." The footsteps grew closer, and the boarding party could hear something else, voices speaking in the human language. The tone was calm, almost casual, as if the speakers were discussing routine business rather than dealing with intruders on their ship. Beck's translation software picked up fragments of the conversation. "They're talking about us," he said nervously. "Something about test subjects and data collection." The first human appeared around the corner at the far end of the corridor. The boarding party's breath caught in their throats as they got their first look at one of the beings they had been studying. The human was massive, easily 2.5 meters tall, with broad shoulders and muscles that were clearly visible even through his dark clothing. But what struck them most was his eyes, cold, intelligent, and completely without fear. "Good morning," the human said in perfect Caltharian language, his voice deep and calm. "I am Captain Blake, commander of this vessel. I believe you've been examining our ship." More humans appeared from both directions, surrounding the boarding party completely. Each one was as large and intimidating as their captain, moving with the fluid grace of natural predators. None of them carried visible weapons, but their mere presence was more threatening than any gun. Tor kept his weapon pointed at Captain Blake, though his hand was shaking. "Stay back," he warned. "We are citizens of the Caltharian Republic, and our ship knows where we are." Captain Blake smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both friendly and terrifying. "Of course they do," he said. "We've been monitoring their communication since you arrived. Your commander Vex is quite concerned about your extended absence. You've been awake this whole time," Dr. Kale realized. "You let us explore your ship." "Naturally," Blake replied. "How else could we observe your investigation methods, your technological capabilities, and your psychological responses to stress? You've provided us with extremely valuable data about Caltharian behavior patterns." Beck's face went white as the horrible truth became clear. We walked into a trap. Not a trap, Blake corrected gently. A learning opportunity. For both of us. You've learned about human capabilities, and we've learned about yours. The exchange has been quite educational. One of the other humans, a female with short dark hair, spoke up. Captain, their weapon technology is even more primitive than our estimates suggested. Standard energy weapons with limited power cells and no backup systems. Blake nodded as if this was interesting, but not surprising information. Thank you, Lieutenant Ross. Add that to our tactical assessment. Tor realized that every move they had made, every word they had spoken, had been carefully observed and analyzed. You were studying us while we studied you. Of course, Blake said. That's what intelligent species do when they encounter potential enemies. They gather information. The difference is that we're rather better at it than you are. Dr. Kale found her voice. What do you want from us? Blake considered her question carefully. Want is perhaps the wrong word, he said. We don't want anything from you. We are simply informing you of certain realities about your situation. He gestured to one of his crew members who activated a portable display screen. Images appeared, showing the positions of ships throughout local space, not just the Caltharian patrol vessel, but dozens of other human ships that had been invisible to galactic sensors. Your ship is currently surrounded by 17 human vessels, Blake explained casually. Each one is capable of destroying your patrol craft within seconds. But destruction is not our goal today. Then what is? Tor demanded. Blake's expression became more serious. Education, he said. You are going to return to your people and deliver a message. You will inform your government, and through them the Galactic Council, that humanity is prepared to discuss terms for the peaceful integration of galactic civilization into human space. The boarding party stared at him in shock. Integration? Beck asked. Yes, Blake confirmed. The galaxy has been without proper leadership for far too long. The various species have been stumbling around in the dark, fighting meaningless conflicts and wasting resources. Humanity is prepared to provide the guidance you clearly need. Lieutenant Ross added more detail. The terms are quite reasonable. Existing governments will be allowed to maintain local authority under human oversight. Trade will continue under human regulation. Military forces will be restructured according to human standards. And if we refuse? Dr. Kale asked. Blake's expression didn't change, but somehow his presence became even more intimidating. Refusal is, of course, an option, he said, though it would be an unfortunate choice. The galaxy contains many beautiful worlds and interesting species. It would be tragic if some of them were lost due to poor decision-making. The threat was delivered so calmly, so matter-of-factly, that it took a moment for the boarding party to fully understand what he was saying. Blake wasn't just threatening military conquest, he was threatening extinction. You're talking about genocide, Tor said in horror. I'm talking about natural selection, Blake replied. Species that adapt to changing circumstances survive and prosper. Species that cannot adapt become extinct. This is simply how the universe works. Blake gestured toward the computer terminal where Beck had been working. You've seen our historical records. You know how humanity evolved. We became the dominant species on our world, not through luck or accident, but through being better at survival than anything else that lived there. Now we're offering the galaxy the same opportunity, Lieutenant Ross added. Join us willingly and prosper under human leadership. Resist us and face the same fate as every other species that couldn't adapt to human dominance. Blake stepped closer to the boarding party, and they could see the absolute confidence in his eyes. The choice is yours, he said, but understand that it is the only choice you will be given. Humanity has spent too many years preparing for this moment to allow sentiment or misplaced mercy to interfere with necessity. Dr. Kale realized that. They were facing something beyond their worst nightmares, a species that viewed galactic conquest not as an evil act, but as a natural and inevitable process. "How long do we have?" she asked quietly. Blake smiled again. "Your ship will be allowed to depart immediately to deliver our message. The Galactic Council will have 1 year to consider our terms and provide their response. After that, the matter will be resolved through more direct methods." The boarding party understood that they were being released not out of mercy, but because the humans wanted their message delivered. They were not prisoners, they were messengers carrying news of the galaxy's doom.